So my best tilt at the competition came in 2011, where I made it all the way through to the District 69 final. And if I'd won there that day, I would have gone on to had to go over and compete in the States ultimately for the World Championship of Public Speaking. What happened? That day, I was really nervous and I did the best I could, but I was beaten by the fellow who did actually go on to the States and win the World Championship of Public Speaking that year. So I always say to people that, you know, I'm not the best public speaker in the world, but there's a good chance I'm the second best. You know?
I like it.
Jokes aside, though, an interesting thing happened that day. So immediately after the competition, there was an afternoon tea break, and the other guy, he delivered in accordance with what the competition requires. His performance was impeccable and thoroughly deserving of what he ultimately went on to achieve. But an interesting thing happened to me in the break, in that I had a lineup of people coming up to me, some of them with tears in their eyes, saying that even though I didn't win the competition, my speech had actually resonated with them more than any of the others. And I'd actually talked about my daughter and how I'm starting to even tear up now. I talked about how I'd learned a few lessons. She was only really young, and I talked about how I'd learned a few lessons about being a dad and missing out on special moments and that sort of thing, and how I really had to kind of rethink my approach to life in general as a dad compared to chasing a lot of things that I had been. And so that obviously nearly everyone who's ever been a parent can relate to that problem.
Absolutely,
and so
yes.
I had a bunch of people coming up to me, as I said, some of them with tears in their eyes, and it just really landed hard with a lot of people. And at that very minute in time, I was sort of thinking, I was still sort of feeling the pain of not winning the competition. And so being the introvert that I actually am, all I wanted to do was retreat into a corner and process it, and rather than have these people come and talk to me. So it wasn't actually till we were driving back to Bundaberg the following day, because the conference had actually been in Inverell, New South Wales, because it was traditionally held in the hometown of the district governor, and he came from Inverell. So that's why it wasn't in Brisbane or anywhere like that. It was in Inverell. So we had a pretty long drive home the next day, and it was at around about Texas, just over the Queensland-New South Wales border, that this revelation hit me, and I'm like, holy shit. Winning a speech competition, or doing the things to win a speech competition, having those flawless skills, is not really what's important. What's important is actually being able to say something that resonates with people. And yes, in terms of the flawless skills, the more eloquently you can say it, or if you can say it with clarity, that makes a big difference. But ultimately, you've got to start with having a meaningful message, or saying something that matters to people. And it seems obvious now, but at the time that was a real revelation for me, and I'd accidentally stumbled upon it by doing this speech and seeing the effect that it had on people.